The 2022 draft is finally over, and now it's time to give you guys my grade for the Chicago Bears for this draft. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears offseason discussion video where I'll be talking about the draft. And if you guys want more content this offseason covering the Bears, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be covering a lot more stuff going on this offseason, OTAs, highlights, and just a lot of other stuff, so be sure to subscribe. But in today's video, I'll be talking about my grades for the Bears draft. Okay, for Ryan Poles' first draft ever. I've had a couple days now to sit back and kind of look at the picks in more detail, research them, watch their tape, compare them to the players selected after our picks. So I think it's important to sit back and, you know, take a couple days to do that, right? Because your initial reaction is not always going to be the right, most informed reaction. So I've had a few days to marinate on all this, and I also think that overall draft grades are kind of stupid. Like, how can you possibly predict how good these players are going to be? How can you grade these picks without seeing them play in the NFL? It's virtually impossible. You're pretty much just guessing based on how good you thought the prospects were in the first place. So don't take this video too seriously. It's just for fun. I do it every single year. I could be wrong on all of these, but for the basis of my grades, guys, pretty much how I'm going to be grading these players, it's going to be based on how talented the players are, obviously. So number one is going to be talent. Number two is going to be value. So do we get good value for this player? Where we drafted them? Did we draft them too high or too low? If it's too high, then it's going to be a lower grade, obviously. And then finally, the third factor is going to be need. Okay, did we draft this player at a position of need? Did we actually need this player? That's going to be the third and final factor I'll use to grade these players. So with all that being said, let's begin. Alright, so round 2, pick 39, the first pick of the Ryan Poles era was cornerback Kyler Gordon out of Washington, and I'm going to give this pick an A, guys, simply because, yes, this was a big position of need for the Chicago Bears. I know we needed offense pretty badly, but cornerback actually was one position that was almost as equal, you know, as wide receiver or offensive line in terms of our entire depth chart in needing talent. Okay, we only had Jalen Johnson as the only proven thing at the cornerback spot. So getting Kyler Gordon in the second round, which I think is also fantastic value. Okay, he was mocked to go early second round. Even in some mocks, it was late first round. He has all the intangibles, all the physical tools to really succeed in an Eberflus cover 2 scheme. I think this is actually a fantastic pick for the Chicago Bears. I mean, this guy could be a stud for the Bears on the opposite side of Jalen Johnson for many, many years to come. Didn't allow a single touchdown in 18 starts in college. He also has versatility, playing both slot and outside corner. So cornerback is a pretty valuable position. It's one of the most important positions in today's NFL, especially going up against all the elite receivers you're gonna have to face in divisions like the NFC North. So I think you have Justin Jefferson, you have Adam Thielen, you have Jameson Williams, you have Christian Watson now. So we definitely needed a cornerback, and Kyler Gordon is a very good one. So I'll give an A to that pick. Round 2, pick 48. In the same round, we select the safety JAQUAN Brisker out of Penn State, and I'm going to give this pick a B, guys, not because I don't think JAQUAN Brisker is a very good player. I think he actually can be a very good player. The only question I have is, will he be good enough to justify not selecting a wide receiver or an offensive lineman in this round? Okay, because like you guys heard me say at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be judging these picks based on not only talent, but also need. Okay, was safety as big of a need as wide receiver or offensive line? I don't think so. Okay, so for that reason alone, I have to bring down the grade a little bit, right? Because we need offense, we need talent, help for Justin Fields, but JAQUAN Brisker also is a damn good football player that could be a stud on the back end of this defense. He's also very athletic, just like Kyler Gordon was. So a fantastic fit in Eberflus' scheme. We needed a guy that can tackle very well, that plays good run support, that has aggression, physically gifted, can play in the box, in the slot, deep safety. For our defense, I mean, this is a very, very good pick. If our offense didn't have such a lack of talent, I'd probably give this pick an A+, because it's exactly what the defense needed to really overhaul their secondary. Okay, our secondary is actually going to be a very strong unit potentially next season, but there were a couple receivers I really liked that the Bears did not select. So time will tell if it was the right decision not selecting those receivers. So giving JAQUAN Brisker a B. Moving on then to the next round, round 3, pick 71, we selected VELUS Jones Jr., wide receiver out of Tennessee, and I'm going to give this pick a B, guys. Okay, I think VELUS Jones Jr. has a lot of potential. He actually ranked among the top in the nation in terms of separation per route, so he can definitely separate. He's fast, he's physical, he fits the Getsy scheme potentially really well. Okay, maybe he could be used in a Deebo Samuel type of role. If you look at his yards after the catch, he ranked again among the top in the nation in terms of yards after the catch, and the Bears didn't have much yak at all the past like 4 or 5 years. So solid football player, good intangibles, but I have to give this pick a B because it might have been a reach, guys. Okay, according to all the draft boards out there, this was definitely somewhat of a reach. Okay, at the beginning of the 3rd round, he's also 25 years old, so some people are not going to like that because we're probably not going to sign him to a very long contract extension after his rookie contract is up. But I think that the fears of drafting an old rookie are kind of overblown, right? Because if he plays good for us the next 4 years, nobody will care how old he is or where he was drafted. So a lot of potential here, but the value probably wasn't the best. Let's go to round 5, pick 168 then. Offensive tackle Braxton Jones out of Southern Utah. We selected after trading down multiple times, and I'm gonna give this pick an A, guys. Okay, this was a player that had, round 3, round 4 grades on some people's boards, so the value here was pretty good. The need also was there. Okay, obviously we needed offensive linemen at the beginning of the offseason, before the draft too, right? Because we didn't sign many offensive linemen during free agency, so the need was definitely there, and a lot of the tools, guys, are there in this kid. Okay, he's played both left and right tackle, so some versatility there. Might kick inside to guard, depending on where they see him, but he's extremely athletic. Okay, that's the one thing I like in these offensive linemen. You need athletic mauler types of guys because that's going to fit best in this new scheme that Luke Getsy is going to run here. After that, round 5, pick 174, edge Dominique Robinson out of Miami of Ohio. I'm going to give this pick an A+, guys. Okay, potentially the best pick, the biggest steal of Ryan Poles' draft so far, because this was a 3rd round talent, guys, that we got at the end of the 5th round, also at a very premium position. Okay, edge is a very important position in today's NFL. You need to be able to rush the passer. People pay premiums for good edge rushers in terms of draft capital, in terms of money as well. And if this guy turns into what a lot of people think he can be, we potentially got a Robert Quinn replacement. Okay, 6'4", weighs 253 pounds, a freak athlete, one of the best athletes in the entire draft class, and he's still learning the position, guys. He's only played edge for 2 years. He was a wide receiver before that, so the potential here is sky high. There's been flashes of absolute greatness in his tape so far, so I think this is definitely Ryan Poles' best pick of this year's draft and potentially could be the steal of the draft. Round 6, pick 186, we selected offensive tackle Zach Thomas out of San Diego State, and I'm gonna give this pick a solid B, guys. Okay, a solid player, has some work to do probably in his fundamentals. He's gonna need to be coached up, so probably won't be ready to play right away, but the athleticism, the physical tools are definitely all there. He is coming at a position of need for the Bears. He probably is going to be a guard in the NFL, and we need talents at guard in terms of starters and backups, and I think this guy probably is going to translate into being a backup in terms of where his potential is right now. But hey, if he's a good backup, getting a good backup in the 6th round at the offensive line position, I think that's a pretty solid pick, so solid B from me. Round 6, pick 203, we selected running back TRESTAN EBNER out of Baylor, and I'm going to give this pick a B, guys. Okay, obviously running back isn't a big position of need for the Bears, but you can always use more running back talent because running back is the least durable position. Okay, they suffer injuries pretty frequently, and it's good for your team to have running back depth. And TRESTAN EBNER is a fantastic pass catcher as well. So in terms of giving Justin Fields maybe a receiving option out of the backfield, this could be a pretty solid pick. And he also could be a return man for the Bears too. Very explosive, has 4.4 speed. So overall, pretty solid pick, but probably nothing too special either. If you go to round 6 then, pick 207, we selected center Doug Kramer out of Illinois. Okay, my alma mater, and I love this pick, guys. I'm going to give it an A, not because I'm biased as an Illinois fan. Okay, maybe partly because of that, but also because I think he's a very good football player that could potentially maybe start for the Bears down the road, guys. I mean, I know he's a little bit small, so yes, the size might be kind of an issue, but his athletic tests were fantastic. Okay, he's one of the more athletic offensive linemen available in this year's class, and Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy wanted athletic offensive linemen on this team, so the fit here is great. He had great tape in college, very smart, durable, started 5 years at Illinois, great leadership traits as well. I think it's going to turn to one of those picks that people will be surprised how good he plays for a 6th rounder if he's ever inserted into the starting lineup. Going to the 7th round then, round 7, pick 226, we selected offensive tackle Ja'Tyre Carter out of Southern University, and I'm gonna give this pick a B, guys. Okay, I think he does need a lot of work. He is kind of raw right now, but he has fantastic power. on tape, he has great athleticism too, great finishing ability on the football field, really a mauler type of offensive lineman. So the fit here is, I think, fantastic. The need also, he fits a position of need for the Bears, but this is kind of a project type of player. Okay, you're going to need to coach him up into being a more fundamentally sound football player. So I'll give this pick a B. Round 7, pick 254, we selected safety Elijah Hicks out of California. I'll give this pick a solid B+. Okay, I actually like a lot of what I saw on tape. He has great instincts. He has great fundamentals in terms of playing the game of football. If you look at his production, he was pretty productive too. He was in college for 5 years. So great versatility here. He can play in the box, can play deep. Very enthusiastic, high motor player. I mean, you guys saw the video the Bears posted of his reaction when he got drafted by the Bears. He was willing to do whatever it takes to make the final roster. Now, he is lacking in athleticism and size overall, so the potential might be a little bit lower here, but still, for a 7th round pick, this is a pretty solid pick. And then finally, with pick 255, we selected punter Trenton Gill out of NC State. I'll give this pick a B. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of drafting punters usually because you can almost always find great ones in undrafted free agency, so we could have went that route, I guess, but this is the end of the draft pretty much. It's only 10 picks away from the last pick, so I'm not stressing too much here on the value. And we did need a punter too, guys. I mean, obviously Pat O'Donnell left. We signed Ryan Winslow, so we have some competition now at the punter position, and hopefully if this guy makes the roster, we rarely see him because we don't want to be punting that often next season. Alright, so I'll put all the grades on the screen right now for you guys to see again. And as for my final overall grade for the entire draft that the Bears had this year, I will give the Bears a B+ for their draft. A pretty solid draft overall. Okay, we got contributors, day one starters at the top of the draft in Kyler Gordon and JAQUAN Brisker. I mean, these guys were some of the best players available at their positions, and they have really high potential in this league. So if they start playing great right away, our defense could potentially be top 10 next year, guys. Like, I'm not even kidding, with, you know, Robert Quinn still being here, with Roquan Smith still on the defense, with Jalen Johnson, with these two guys, our defense could be nasty again with the great defensive coach in Matt Eberflus. If you look at the middle of the draft, VELUS Jones could potentially be a great fit in Luke Getsy's offense. Did we reach on him a little bit? Yeah, we probably did, but if he's a great player, I don't think anybody will care where he got drafted. If you look at Braxton Jones, you know, potentially start around the offensive line down the road. Dominique Robinson, probably the steal of the draft. And all the offensive linemen we got at the end, I really love this trading down that Ryan Poles did in the draft, because we only had 6 picks entering the draft. We turned those 6 picks into 11 to add so much depth to our roster. That's something that Ryan Pace never did. Okay, we haven't had 11 picks in the draft since 2008. Okay, since the Angelo era. So I like that Ryan Poles really has stressed, you know, the need to build depth on a roster to take as many shots as possible in the draft to acquire more draft picks, because draft picks are pretty much lottery tickets. The more lottery tickets you have, the higher chance you have of winning. Now, the only complaint I have about this draft, though, the reason why it's not an A, I wish he did more to help out our offense at the beginning of this draft. Okay, Justin Fields is still a developing quarterback, and I don't know if he has the true number 1 receiver on the roster right now. So yes, that does worry me a decent amount, and the offensive line is still a concern. I know we drafted a lot of offensive linemen, but can any of these guys start day one? I'm not too sure. So yes, the potential here is pretty high. Yes, I like a lot of the players that we selected, but still kind of worried about the offense. But hopefully I'm wrong in a few years. So let me know what you guys think about this draft class in the comments down below. What grade would you give Ryan Poles for this draft? But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, bear down.